Welcome back to another episode of Fisticuff Central, and today we are covering the post-show for UFC 308, which took place in Abu Dhabi. This was an early card for the UK fans, so always that's great for us, maybe not so much for the United States guys or, wherever else you might be in the world watching UFC, but it was a great event. It really did deliver. I'd say in terms of like the fight quality, it's definitely one of the better ones that we've seen over the last month or two. So let's get it straight into it with the main event being first that we're going to cover, and that was Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway. And oh boy, it happened, and I knew it was going to happen. I saw weaknesses in Max's chin, something maybe I should have mentioned in the pre-show, where he did get dropped by Gaethje, or maybe I did mention it, I'm not 100% sure, but he did get dropped by Gaethje, and I think that showed a weakness. It never happened. I'm not 100% sure if it was registered as a drop officially, but his knee touched the canvas, and I'm pretty sure that he went down for a brief second, and that shows that the chin was cracked to me a little bit, which I'm not trying to diminish Ilia Topuria here, because he's a fantastic boxer and a fantastic mixed martial artist, also got great wrestling, but I'm taking a little bit away from him at the same time. Everyone's kind of pushing that, he starched Max Holloway, starched Volkanovski. I think both of them was on the precipice of being knocked out personally. I mean, Volkanovski did by Islam Makhachev a couple of months prior, literally maybe like 3 months prior. Not a great move from Alexander Volkanovski's point of view to then go and fight Ilia Topuria, who's an absolute knockout artist after being absolutely demolished by Islam Makhachev. So, the fight played out similarly to how I expected it to. Max used, a few more kicks. Ilia doesn't kick at all, so he was predominantly wrestling and boxing. Ilia landed the power shots, and Max kind of tried to chip away at him. I actually think he did a really good job disrupting Ilia's rhythm with the jab. Something that Max is really good for, that sticking that jab in your face and just letting it accumulate, and, beating up the face, cuts, scar tissue, all that shit. It all gets messed up when Max is in front of you. And I think he did start to do a little bit of damage to Ilia in that sense, but unfortunately, death by 1,000 cuts or nuclear bomb, what's going to kill you quicker? It's the nuke. And that's what Ilia Topuria has in his hands. So it's a tough one for my boy Max, for our boy Max. I mean, where does he go from here? I'm really not sure. I'm not 100% sure whether he can recover in the same way as he has done from previous losses, even though in terms of his age, I believe he's only 32 years old still, turning 33. He's not that old, he's still got 3-4 years at the top of his game. Jose Aldo cutting down a weight division, 37 years old, looking fantastic, right? So it's not age, it's the miles that I'm more worried about for Max, and where's he going to be at mentally? The guy seems incredibly strong mentally, in the sense that he seems unbothered by a lot of things. Seems like a really cool dude, and I'm sure he'll look at things realistically, but like the chin, right? That's the difference between the previous losses and this loss. He got beat up in previous fights. Hell, even that Volkanovski 3 fight, he took a hell of a beating, but he stayed on his feet. And I mean, that's a big difference. That's a big difference, because in terms of his confidence, how's that going to affect him going forward? The ability to take a shot, the ability to put himself in danger and, not worry about the consequences like we've seen, from him. And I think he was aware of that. This is just my opinion. I think he was aware that his chin was deteriorating, because he did not engage with Ilia at the start. Now, yeah, obviously Ilia's got the power advantage, but one could argue that if you have the chin advantage, if you're tougher, if you believe in your toughness like Max has, why did he not engage? Everybody's like, oh, I did the Matador thing, awesome, but like I say, the reason I believe he did that was because one, is awesome as fuck. let's put that out there. But two, if you hit him, he believed in his chin, and he believed that he could knock you out, but you couldn't knock him out. I don't think he believed that with Topuria. So mentally, that was one, an advantage for Topuria. But I think part of it was because of the fact that he got dropped by Gaethje. I think even when he got hit, but I think it was by a left hook, but not the one that actually dropped him, but previously, like, he might have been around before. Like, there was a look in Max's face of worry. Like, there really was. The commentators didn't really say anything, but you could see it. Like, he was like, holy shit, this dude can fucking crack. So, you know, we're going to see. And for Topuria, the Volkanovski rematch is what they're pushing. I mean, the guy deserves it, I understand. Maybe he's taken a year out. Maybe he'll be a different Volkanovski. We never know. Some fighters have come back from being knocked out. I'd say it is the exception and not the rule. Typically, once you start getting knocked out, it's not so good. You know, Mike Bisping came out and he still had a chin. He got absolutely flatlined by Dan Henderson, and it didn't seem to affect him too badly in terms of his durability. You know, fair enough, actually. He got fucked up a few times, right? Let's be real. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, that's just how that went. You know, I feel for Max. Congratulations to Topuria. I'm not going to lie, if he's fighting Volkanovski, I'm Team Volk, just like I was Team Max. No disrespect to Topuria. I just like those dudes better. I just think they're nicer, they're cooler, and they appeal to me more as a human being and as a fight fan. So, moving on from that, we go to another heartbreaking fight, which was Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev. Now, this one was also a toughie, and I'm sure a lot of you, like myself, thought that Whittaker quit a little bit, that he saw the writing on the wall. Boy, were we wrong. The guy had his jaw dislocated or broken. I'm not 100% sure. I've heard both, but I have seen the pictures, and his teeth are missing. The guy got absolutely fucked up, and I have no clue how the hell that happened. How did Khamzat generate that kind of power? It makes me think that maybe happened somewhere previously in the fight. I've not watched any kind of analysis that, you know, will confirm or deny that, but it seems strange, you know, unless he genuinely was able to generate that much torque just in such a short space of time, which, you know, maybe to pop a tooth out if he like quickly jolted it, maybe, you know, like, I'm not an expert on this. You know, some of you may even know more about MMA than me watching this. You know, I'm a big fan, but, you know, I'm not going to act like I know everything, right? You know, I'm still learning, and I probably will be for the rest of my life as a mixed martial arts fan. Big emphasis on the fan. But yeah, tough one. I mean, Khamzat, rocket ship, but at the same time, not so. Rocket ship that isn't necessarily going to go to the moon, because the dude can't fight in the United States. The dude seems to be ill all the time. You know, I feel like he's already lost a big chunk of his prime. If he didn't get COVID and he didn't kill himself, the guy could have been an all-time great potentially, because he goes out there with the intention to get you out of there, and he is not messing around, and I love that about him. You know, it makes him such an entertaining fighter. That's what really appealed to everybody on his come up, and what is still appealing to fans to this day. And I think, you know, he is capable of beating anybody in that middleweight division, because he might finish them in the first round. Now, we've seen, you know, on multiple occasions in a 5-round title fight, if he ain't smoking you in 2 rounds, I'm betting on the other dude. I don't care who's fighting. If he's not getting you out in 2, I'm betting on the other guy, because the guy's fucking gas tank does not seem to be great. I might be wrong, you know, like, you know, fighters do end up turning the conditioning around. I think Conor McGregor showed that in the second Diaz fight, but he tailored that because I think he was aware that he's not going to be able to get Diaz out there so easily. Or maybe not, I don't know. Like, it's just pure speculation, right? Bobby Knuckles, on the other hand, it's a similar story as it is with Max Holloway. Like, you know, this is quite a brutal knockout. I think he has been knocked out before, and Bobby has shown that he has got the heart and the mind of a lion. Like, the guy got brutally knocked out twice, and he came back, you know. And honestly, I think Whittaker's more likely to make a comeback just based on that. You know, just because of the fact that we've seen this before from Whittaker. But it does make me, you know, makes you worry, like, is he just going to get finished again? Depends on who he fights, right? It's an interesting one. Yeah, I mean, what's not to like about Robert Whittaker? Great guy, family man, you know, incredible mixed martial arts, one of the greatest middleweights of all time. You know, you could make an argument for him being 3rd or 4th. You know, I personally wouldn't put him anywhere below that. You know, maybe 5th. That's, you know, it depends. Chris Weidman, I think, is a little bit underrated actually in his prime, but it's definitely up there, right? Nobody's debating that. That is definitely one of the best middleweights of all time that competed within the UFC. So that one was a tough one, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles, man. And best of luck to Khamzat. So we're moving on to the third fight of the previous evening, or 2 nights ago, whatever the hell it was, 3 nights ago. I don't even know at this point. And we're covering Ankalaev versus Rakic, and this one went kind of how I thought it would do. Ankalaev just doesn't seem to want to wrestle. I think he kind of reminds me of like McGregor a little bit. I know with his striking, not. Alright, hear me out. Maybe okay, that's a shit comparison. I just like he lunges forward with that left straight. He'll fight in that southpaw position and he kind of lunges forward, and the way that he throws that left actually reminds me of the way that Conor threw his left straight. There we go. Maybe like the kicking game and the movement. Not. I mean, then again, I don't know. Like maybe a little bit. He's quite light on his feet, bouncing around. There are some similarities. Actually, it wasn't the worst analogy, but certainly not the best one either. Let's be real about that. But yeah, I mean, Rakic just didn't engage. He was constantly running away from him, and it made it a much more boring fight. And it was a shame because this could have been a really good fight, and I think Rakic really needed to be more confident in his striking ability, and he just wasn't. He kind of just backed himself up to the fence at times, and just circled and circled and circled, and it was just frustrating to watch. As a fan, it's just not what you want to see. So Ankalaev definitely fighting for the title next. Dana White all but confirmed it, which he almost never does post-fight. So we should feel quite confident that fight's going to be made, unless somebody starts to be incredibly difficult with negotiations or something along those lines, which I highly doubt will be Alex Pereira. Now, it would be a Dana White thing to do, to completely blame everything on Ankalaev and say, no, he didn't want the fight, he wanted 30 million, he wanted Deontay Wilder money, or some bullshit like that. So, still no guarantee, but, that's the fight to make now. It was already the fight to make. I thought that before the Khalil Roundtree fight, and as did the vast majority of the MMA community. We didn't hate it because of the matchup. Great fight, is what it is. Now you got to make the Ankalaev fight. That's the man that deserves it. He's the rightful contender and has been for some time. So Dana White, make that shit happen. And before we wrap up, because we covered the fights that I covered in my preview show, we need to give a shout out to a couple of fights and a few fighters on the undercard and one more on the main card. On the main card, Shara Bullet versus Petrosian. What a knockout. Great fight, entertaining, but the double spinning back fist, creative. The dude's blind in one eye. Looks like fucking Rasputin mixed with a fucking blind pirate or some shit. I mean, what's not to like about this dude? The way he fights, his kicks, everything. Like, the guy's just so entertaining, so athletic and so talented. Like, it makes me wonder as well, he's in a similar position to Khamzat, is going to struggle to get a medical clearance because of the fact that he has one eye, essentially. He's blind in one eye. He has one functional eye, I should say, because he does have the second eye. It just don't work, right? So, yeah, best of luck to him. Looking forward to seeing him fight in the future. And then we need to... my boy Rebetsky versus Holloway, I think is how you pronounce his name. Wow, what a fight. Edge of my seat, thinking the dude's going to get finished. Holloway's an absolute unit. His face was mashed up. How the the doctor didn't stop that fight is beyond me. But I'm not even mad at it, because clearly they understood how tough this guy is. Because in that first round, I thought he was done. And in the third round, I thought he was done. And he just kept fucking coming. Like, in the second round, he completely rallied after Rebetsky cracked him so many times. He did get a little bit lucky with the headbutt. Wasn't intentional, so I'm not, shit happens, right? People are fucking swinging the weight around, so, it happens. We've seen it many times, and I don't believe there was any malicious intent. That man strikes me, and that fighter strikes me as someone that has integrity. I don't think he did that intentionally at all, so he's forgiven entirely. And then in the third round, he gets dropped. And you know, Rebetsky just empties the tank trying to get him out of there. Referee yet again could have stopped the fight, but I'm happy it didn't, even though my boy was getting pummeled after, you know, watching the fight with my bro, and oh my god, we were going fucking crazy over it. What a spectacular performance. I had to put that in there because it was just so entertaining and so good. I just couldn't, you know, I had to talk about it a little bit. You know, I'm sure anybody else that watched that fight is completely in agreement with me of how epic that shit was. One of my favourite fights all year, especially, you know, with the winner being from my native homeland that I love so much, and that's Polski land, Poland. So yeah, proud and happy. And that pretty much covers it. Thank you very much for watching, guys. You know, I hope every UFC event could live up to that, although it won't, but that's the best one for me that I've seen in a while. You know, I really enjoyed it. Hope you guys did too. And have a great fucking evening, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace out.